Hello viewers, welcome to the YouTube channel of Chananda Cultural Society. So today we have for a panel discussion on Ascended Masters teaching, we have with us Mr. Jaspal Soni, Miss Lois Drake and Mr. Jay Thukral. Miss Lois Drake has come all the way from Los Angeles, California to be a part of this discussion. Thank you so much Lois. And Lois has been in the teaching for over 35 years now. Mr. Soni, as you all know, has been into the teaching for over 45 years now, and he is also the founder president of the Chananda Cultural Society. So Jay, we have a new face today, and he is comparatively new to the teachings. He joined in 2017. So today each one of them will be talking to us about Ascended Masters teachings and how they helped them in their lives. Welcome everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
So I'll begin in the beginning. The very first question that I want to ask you guys is how did you enter into the teachings? How did you get to know about it? And how did the teachings help you in your life, in your daily life? Sir, would you like to begin with that?
Yes, thank you, Rajkumari ji. That was a story way back in when I went to America to study, and I finished my degree. I was looking for a job, so I got a job, and but in my heart there was something burning question that why, what is the inner purpose of life? I mean, outer purpose, you need a job, survive, to work, feed your family, take care of it, but what is the inner purpose of life? So it was kind of, people call it rude awakening, you can say that way. So that started my journey from pillar to post. As I said, that I went few places and I talked to my friends, and some of them were interested, some of them were not. But I continued my search, and what happened was then I found this teaching, we call it Ascended Masters teaching, through the organization called Summit Lighthouse in America. So I began to follow whatever they were saying. A lot of words were new about, like Ascended Masters and other things like that, But I kept my persistence going on. So as I continued on, slowly, things started to unravel. Things started to come to my mind, the purpose of life, and how does it, why the person comes into this world, and what is the purpose of life, as I said before. It also helped me as I began to assimilate, understand the teachings of the Ascended Master. It really, as they say, that I was getting the answer, I was getting peace of mind, I was getting harmony, I was getting much more within myself that I had not experienced before. What is that much more? I would ask myself. It's something that you have to feel that. You cannot put into words, So I think a lot of things became to clear. What has stood with me, one thing, after all these years, is that I feel much more integrated with myself, my higher self, my God self, whatever name you call it. I feel that something in me is moving me every day. Like when there's a cosmic timetable, if I can use that word, and we call it Holy Spirit, we call it presence of Shiva, we call it presence of Vaheguru or God, what different names. So I feel that presence tells me what to do, what not to do, where to go, where not to go, but different way. So that has been my greatest so-called takeaway from my journey so far.
So viewers, if you are wondering about who Ascended Masters are, I suggest you visit Chananda's Cultural Society's YouTube channel. Mr. Soni has made a couple of videos on who Ascended Masters are and what are their teachings. Miss Lois Drake, what would you say?
Well, it's a fascinating story. Everyone's story is fascinating. The masters, who are watching out for us all the time, are looking for us no matter where we are. So as a child growing up in Southern California near San Diego, I can remember, even at the age of kindergarten, riding my little bicycle, and if I heard something like a baby crying somewhere, I thought, I have to help someone. I was always looking, there's more, there's something I have to do. But what? I was raised in a traditional Christian church, and we went to Sunday school. But still, it didn't have enough. There wasn't everything that I was looking for. I didn't even know what I was looking for. So it wasn't until I was probably 32 or 33, I was going into another bookstore. I always liked to go to the bookstores. I looked at all the books that were about Hinduism and Buddhism and Christianity and everything. Well, I went to this bookstore in Berkeley and I found a book called The Human Aura by an Ascended Master and Kuthumi, and another one by an Ascended Master named Dwal Kul called Intermediate Studies for the Human Aura. I thought, these books are just for me. Great. I bought them. I didn't read them. I carried them around for 2 years. And in those 2 years, I went through all kinds of experiences. They were not the greatest experiences. Finally, at the end of 2 years, I said to myself, I said to God, actually, I can't do this, God. You do it. In other words, my life had so many things going the wrong way that I couldn't do it. I knew I had to have God help me. So that was my way of saying, not my will, but thine be done. And immediately my life changed. Everything changed. And I became to a place that was more stable, was living with my family then, and I thought, now I should read these books. I opened them up. They were from the Ascended Masters, the Summit Lighthouse. I'm not even sure I understood completely what I was reading, but I read them and I said to myself, this is everything I've ever been looking for. And I was so thrilled. So I called the number in the back, which was in California, not far from where I lived, and they said, oh, we've all just moved to another state where they have a beautiful headquarters for the Summit Lighthouse in the state of Montana, the northern United States. But we're starting a small group right here where you live. So I joined that, and when somebody showed me a picture of the spark of God in my heart, the threefold flame, it's almost like it jumped off the page, and I said, this is real. I knew it was real. So from that point on, my life totally changed. And I knew at that point that everything was different. Everything that I worked for was to bring more light into my life and send it out into the world, not only to help myself, but to help others. And yes, I faced problems in life, different things would happen, but the difference was now I could deal with it. Now I could work with the light, work with the masters, because when you study the Ascended Masters, they keep an eye on you, and they sponsor you, and they help you. So that's how I have been working with them day in and day out. It's my great honor and privilege.
Okay, thank you. What about you, Jay?
Yeah, so if I go back to my childhood, I remember somewhere in the year around 2000, I suddenly started getting attracted towards the temples and the gurdwaras. I will hear the prayer in the evening, in the morning, and I used to talk to myself and say, why don't you go? Why are you here? Why are you sitting in the house? Go and see what's there. And that's how I started visiting the temples. And with that, in the year around 2012, I saw some books in my house, photos of the angels, photos of the masters, and I used to think, what is this in my house? Why my mom is bringing these kind of stuff? You know, we should not be having this. But slowly, when I started reading the books, I understood that there's a deep meaning in those books, and it really has something related to God, and there's something I should learn more about it. So in the year around 2017, I started attending the workshops, and I got a deeper understanding about the masters and the angels. So your mom was
already into teachings?
She touched the teaching. She was not very much into teachings. She touched the teaching. She was like me. So we both started together, but she was the one who used to go to the meetings, but I was not going to the meetings. I started going in 2017. So during that period of 5 to 6 years, I had gained some experience by reading and understanding about the masters, and since 2017, when I started moving in, that really changed my life, because everything I used to see before, I had a different perspective, a better perspective, a clearer thought process of how things work, how God works, why, if something had happened to me in my previous years, why that event took place, and why maybe it is my karma, or maybe it is what I was destined to be in that
You got your
situation.
answers.
Yes. So yeah, that's my story.
Okay.